Bill Gates was the richest man on earth from 1997 to 2007. But by 2008, the financial world embraced a new legend, Warren Buffett. Currently, the chairman and CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, aged 93, holds a net worth of a whopping $137.5 billion. Buffett's rise in the financial world goes beyond brilliance and perseverance. He became famous for his smart investment moves and wisdom. Starting with small investments, he eventually gained significant control over some of America's biggest companies.
The first rule in investment is don't lose. And the second rule in investment is don't forget the first rule, and that's all the rules there are. I mean, if you buy things for far below what they're worth, and you buy a group of them, you basically don't lose money.
Apart from his financial achievements, his dedication to philanthropy was evident as he committed a large portion of his wealth to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, aiming to enhance societal well-being. His modest lifestyle, no flashy attire including an unconventional diet, adds a special touch to his larger-than-life persona. Also, do you think one of the world's richest men has a chauffeur? No, he prefers the driving seat better.
Do any of your billionaire friends ever joke with you about the Cadillac and that you're driving and not something flashier?
No, they know me.
You believe he's into fancy gourmet meals? No, the man loves his burgers from McDonald's along with a Coke. His effortless influence, integrity, and excellence make his story an inspiring instance for generations to come. So, here goes our take on the billionaire's outstanding journey. From a young age, Warren Buffett knew he was destined for wealth. As a boy of 10, he confidently predicted his future riches if he lived a long life. Warren reminisced.
I could figure out when I was 10, if I had a fairly long life, I was going to end up with a lot of money.
Fast forward to 70 years, and he became the richest man on the planet indeed. Literally, a business magnate with a rock star-like presence. Known as the Oracle of Omaha and the Sage of Nebraska, the investing genius Buffett's focus and dedication to being the best at what he does, making money, makes him stand out from many other billionaires worldwide. When CNN Business asked him to share some investing tips, he went on.
And the most important thing to keep in mind if you're investing in stocks is what?
Is to always get more for your money than you pay. it's like buying anything else.
What's the biggest mistake people make, though?
Well, the biggest mistake they make is listening to a lot of other people and buying something because they think it's going to go up next week or next month. And for whatever reason people give you, you should understand what you buy. Now, if you buy a farm, you look at the farm and you say, I expect to get so many bushels per acre of corn or soybeans, and you figure out how much that'll be worth, and then you figure out what the price should be. If you buy an apartment house, you look at what the rentals will be and what the taxes and expenses will be, and then you decide how much income you'll have, and you pay a fair price for that. But you don't, in stocks, people, their neighbor whispers something to them, and they run out and spend money that it took them years to earn. So you always want to look at the productive ability of the asset you're buying, whether it's a farm, apartment house, or a company, but the company is represented by a stock. And if you always get your money's worth, you'll do very well.
His longtime friend, another legend, Bill Gates, describes him as energetic and says,
Warren's very young and energetic. Warren is super interested in the latest things going on, and there's so much that you just absorb from Warren's approach to things.
Despite his enormous success, Buffett's journey wasn't without its own set of drawbacks. He faced serious financial crises. An investigation of any past wrongdoings might have added fuel to that. During one terrifying weekend, he feared his company might collapse, which loomed the high stakes of his career. Behind his charming and down-to-earth persona lies one of America's most resilient businessmen. Truth be told, having a $40 billion fortune isn't for the faint-hearted. And when it comes to negotiation skills, you can never beat his relentlessness in negotiations to secure the best of deals. So you see, he might seem like an ordinary American old guy, but don't be fooled because his keen business insight differs him from the image of a friendly neighbor. The 2008 financial crisis saw some of Wall Street's largest banks and investment firms on the brink of collapse. Amid this chaos, the sufferers had one person to reach. He is the one-man army, Warren Buffett. In fact, there was a tensed scene in HBO's Too Big to Fail, in which characters wanted to reach out to Buffett to portray him as the savior to stabilize the situation. Throughout his life, Buffett avoided the risky speculation of Wall Street and favored the stability of Omaha. Born in 1930, he grew up surrounded by values of modesty, thrift, and straightforwardness. While living and working near his birthplace in Omaha, Buffett developed an early passion for finance. By the age of 8 or 9, he was fascinated by numbers and the stock market. He diligently kept charts and committed population figures from a world almanac given by his aunt to memory. His love for numbers wasn't restricted to business alone. He simply enjoyed the challenge and clarity they provided. Moreover, Buffett's exceptional memory for numbers and understanding influenced his future success. In his own words,
It hit me right away. It was like kids that like to play the piano early or something of the sort. I always liked numbers. I knew I was going to be interested in stocks the rest of my life, but probably at the time I was, 8 or 9. I used to keep charts on all kinds of stocks when I was that age. My aunt gave me a world almanac, so I memorized the population of all cities of any real size. But I just like numbers. It was not limited to business numbers at all.
Alice Schroeder, in his authorized biography, The Snowball, points out that the Great Depression had a significant impact on Buffett's early years. After his father lost his job as a stockbroker, his family faced financial hardships, and discussions about money became a regular part of their dinner conversations. However, Buffett wasn't content with just talking about money. He aimed to master it. This should come as no surprise, but Warren Buffett's business know-hows developed early. As a kid, he bought 6 packs of Coca-Cola from his grandfather's grocery store for $0.25 and sold them individually for $0.05 each. He also sold magazines like the Saturday Evening Post and Ladies' Home Journal door to door. Journalist Roger Lowenstein, in an early biography of Buffett, noted that Warren's entrepreneurial spirit led him to collect and resell golf balls and search for unused tickets at racetracks. Now, can you imagine this hardworking kid earned enough to play the stock market? His first stock purchase was Citi Service Preferred, which he bought for $38.25. Around the same time, his father, Howard Buffett, became a congressman and took the family to Washington in 1943. There, young Warren got the opportunity to start a new business of delivering newspapers for the Washington Post. Warren quickly proved his reliability and earned around $150 a month. That's a significant sum for a young teenager, right? By diligently delivering papers before school each morning, he saved a good amount. Over time, he delivered about 500,000 papers, which helped him earn roughly a penny per paper. This paper route money amounted to $9,800, and he got to use it as the seed money for his future financial master plan. After high school, Warren Buffett was eager to enter the business world full-time. But his father urged the 16-year-old to attend college first. Buffett enrolled at the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania, where he had a roommate named Charles Peterson. Peterson recalls Buffett as immature, who often wore mismatched shoes. Despite his weaknesses to address his feeble appearance, Buffett was academically advanced. While Peterson spent hours studying, Buffett could get through his coursework quickly due to his photographic memory. In fact, Buffett used his extra time in unique ways. He was obsessed with Al Jolson's music and played his records endlessly. Alongside his musical interests, Buffett dabbled in political activism and became the president of the Young Republicans Club at Penn. After an effortless academic journey at Wharton, Buffett went to Harvard Business School but was rejected after a brief interview. As undeterred as he was, he turned to Columbia Business School, and he met Benjamin Graham, a Wall Street legend whose investment philosophy intrigued him. Graham taught him that the market should serve investors, not guide them. He emphasized buying stocks like buying pieces of a business, which recognized that the market can be very wrong about prices. Buffett absorbed this philosophy and became Graham's most devoted student. Graham's strategy involved finding dollar bills that could be bought for 50 cents, even if their value didn't increase quickly. Next, Warren Buffett returned to Omaha to start his own business. He formed a partnership with 7 or 8 close associates, including Charles Peterson. However, convincing others proved more challenging. Buffett struggled with his sales pitch, as he was just 20 years old and looked even younger. This frustrated him, but he was not someone who would give up anytime soon. So Buffett decided to improve his communication skills. He turned to the teachings of Dale Carnegie, a renowned self-help guru. He took Dale's course when he realized he needed to conquer his fear of public speaking. This not only helped him professionally, but also personally, as he proposed to his future wife, Susan Thompson, during the course. He said,
I proposed to my wife during the Dale Carnegie course. So, I got my money's worth right during the course. I had the intellect to succeed, but I did not have the persona. I was not put together as a person until I met her.
Buffett's ability to pick stocks stood out when he concentrated on undervalued stocks that were overlooked by others. His thorough analysis of annual reports and balance sheets enabled him to grasp company fundamentals and identify prime buying opportunities. Word spread in Omaha about the young investor's prowess, and his reputation grew at the same time. In his first 5 years in business, while the Dow Jones increased by 74%, Buffett's investments soared by 250%. By 1961, Buffett became a millionaire at just 30 years old. In spite of his financial success, Buffett worked modestly from a study in his home rather than an office building. His friend Stan Lipsey said that people often joked about Buffett not knowing his kids, but his wife kept the family close-knitted, and this enabled Buffett to focus on his intense study and investment activities. Despite his rapidly growing wealth, it's surprising how Warren Buffett's lifestyle remained humble. He and his family lived in the same house he bought over 50 years ago for $32,000. His children, including his eldest daughter, Susie Buffett, attended public schools. Susie recalls that they didn't receive extravagant gifts like cars at 16 and lived like other kids in their community, even though their father had wealth. A notable change in the Buffett household was Warren's departure from his father's strong Republican views. He began backing the Democratic Party, which he felt was more dedicated to essential civil rights reforms. Professionally, Buffett's ambitions grew in his 30s. He wanted to move beyond stock picking to owning companies outright. He found his first major opportunity in Beatrice, Nebraska, with Dempster Mill, a struggling windmill manufacturer. Recognizing the undervaluation of the stock, Buffett initiated purchases. Dempster Mill faced issues like excessive inventory and an oversized workforce, resulting in 100 job losses. This drew criticism towards Buffett and served as a learning experience. He preferred investing in companies that did not require direct management of labor issues, leaving such responsibilities to others. A principle of Warren Buffett's strategy was to buy businesses with trustworthy management and let them run independently. His next major investment seemed risky, a textile mill called Berkshire Hathaway, with shares at $7.50 each. Buffett admitted it was a mistake, as the company was destined to fail like other New England textile mills. Glenn Tung of T2 Partners noted that Berkshire Hathaway lacked a competitive edge, which meant it couldn't generate enough return on invested capital. Buffett's strategy was extracting cash from Berkshire Hathaway and reinvesting it. The first highly profitable reinvestment was in the insurance business, which added to Berkshire Hathaway's success. Bloomberg News reporter Andrew Fry stated that the insurance industry generated profits and provided float, money from insurance premiums that could be invested interest-free in other ventures. Even as the textile mill declined, Buffett kept the name Berkshire Hathaway for his multi-billion-dollar empire. He saw no need to rebrand the company with each new acquisition and believed the name held its own value. Moving on, Warren's love for candy is no secret. This is one of the reasons he acquired See's Candies along with blue chip stamps. Both investments provided additional interest-free cash, which Buffett could use for future investments. Warren Buffett found a perfect professional partner in Charlie Munger, who was a lawyer when they first met. Munger had worked at Buffett's grandfather's grocery store, but, as he was 6 years older, they hadn't known each other growing up. Introduced by a mutual friend, they hit it off immediately. Buffett convinced Munger to leave law for investing. After a few years, Munger realized this was a necessary transition. In the late 1960s, Wall Street was booming with rising stock prices, but Buffett saw the overvaluation as a signal to exit. After managing over $100 million with many satisfied partners, he decided to dissolve his partnership in 1969. Following the advice of Gus Levy, Buffett believed the market frenzy would eventually collapse. By the age of 40, Buffett was worth over $25 million, but he felt restless without his partnership. In 1973, he decided to invest in Wesco, a California bank, although it was involved in a merger deal. This action prompted scrutiny from the SEC, as the company merging with Wesco accused Buffett of attempting to unlawfully interfere with their deal under securities law. Though Buffett and Munger believed they hadn't broken any rules, the structure of their holdings appeared suspicious. Stanley Sporkin is the former Securities and Exchange Commission Enforcement Director. He talked about the complexity of Buffett and Munger investments, which raised suspicions of potential wrongdoing. Investigators were particularly concerned about the duo offering Wesco shareholders higher prices for their stock than the market value. According to Sporkin, manipulating stock prices violates the law, and the accusations against Buffett stung hard. To defend his reputation, Buffett's lawyer appealed to Sporkin. Ultimately, Buffett's company, Blue Chip Stamps, faced a fine of just over $100,000, but Buffett himself faced no charges. By 1973, Berkshire Hathaway's stock price rose to $93. Warren's investment portfolio also included interests in banks, clothing manufacturers, and candy producers. Yet, among his various holdings, Buffett had a particular fondness for newspapers since his childhood. He dipped his toes into newspaper ownership by purchasing a struggling Omaha weekly, The Sun, despite its lack of profitability. The publisher Stan Lipsey recalled the weekly's challenges in competing against a daily publication. During a meeting, Buffett suggested looking into Boys Town, an orphanage famous from a 1938 film. He knew charities like Boys Town share financial info in federal forms. Buffett told his team to get Boys Town's 990 form from Washington. The Sun unexpectedly won a Pulitzer Prize in 1973 because of this, a big deal for a local weekly newspaper. Buffett remembered Lipsey's call about their Pulitzer win as a defining moment for the Sun. Warren Buffett's goals continued to soar as he eyed the prestigious Washington Post. He knew it had a stronghold in the city and felt a personal tie to it, remembering his days delivering the paper as a teenager. Initially unsure about investing, Buffett made up his mind when the Post played a pivotal role in exposing the Watergate scandal in 1973. Around the same time, the stock price plummeted due to conflicts with the Nixon administration. Buffett quickly took advantage of the situation and bought shares at a reduced price. Breaking from his typical approach of keeping a distance from company management, Buffett developed a close relationship with Katharine Graham, the publisher of the Washington Post. She introduced him to high-profile social circles, giving him access to key Washington power players such as Henry Kissinger and Ben Bradley. Buffett was captivated by Graham's business acumen, and their friendship opened doors to exclusive events in Washington. As Warren's fame grew, his personal life was hampered. When his wife Susie felt isolated by her husband in Omaha, she relocated to San Francisco to pursue a singing career. No, she did not divorce him, nor did they have any bitterness in their relationship. But she looked for a life beyond the fishbowl of celebrity. They still communicated frequently and traveled together. Susie entrusted Warren's care to her friend Astrid Menks, whose relationship with Warren blossomed over time. Astrid eventually decided to move in, which was an unorthodox arrangement and became a topic of gossip. But for Warren, Susie, and Astrid, what mattered most was their happiness and fulfillment, regardless of what the public gossiped about. Next, Warren sought ownership of a metropolitan daily paper after the success with the Washington Post. The opportunity marked his largest venture with the Buffalo Evening News, a $33 million investment. The Evening News didn't have a Sunday edition, unlike its rival. When Warren introduced one, he quickly ran into fierce opposition from the Courier Express, who accused him of playing unfairly in the market. He understood the long-term viability of the market and recognized that the market couldn't support two newspapers in Buffalo over the long term. After months of legal battles, Buffett won when the judge overturned the order. In 1985, Berkshire Hathaway stock reached $2,000 per share. This earned Buffett an entry into billionaire status. He made headlines by financing Capital City's takeover of the American Broadcasting Company, which was the largest media deal during that time. Even after these high-profile ventures, Buffett remained grounded in Omaha to distance himself from Wall Street. He often remarked that making money involved holding one's nose and heading to Wall Street. He had a sign in his office with the words bulls, bears, and bum steers, which are terms from the stock market. The sign explained that a bull represents a time when market prices are going up, like how a bull lifts its horns. A bear means prices are falling, similar to how a bear swipes down with its paws. The phrase bum steers adds a bit of humor, referring to bad advice in the market. In 1987, Buffett made a surprising move by investing $700 million in Salomon Brothers, the nation's largest investment house. But trouble occurred when in 1991, Buffett received a call about serious issues at Salomon Brothers. A trader named Paul Moser had engaged in illegal activities in the US government bond market and manipulated the market by using unauthorized accounts. The vice chairman at Salomon Brothers, Derek Moen, was appalled by the law-breaking actions which interfered with critical market operations. The scandal got worse as Salomon executives delayed reporting the misconduct to authorities, which infuriated the US government, Federal Reserve, and US Treasury. John Gutfreund, Salomon Brothers' CEO, became the public face of the crisis. The scandal had reached such a critical level that Salomon's leading executives contemplated resigning. They hoped that their departure might avert the firm's possible disqualification from dealing in Treasury securities. At this point, the CEO had resigned, but in a last-ditch effort to save the company, Gutfreund called Buffett in Omaha. He informed Buffett of his resignation and asked him to step in as CEO. They needed someone who had the confidence of both the government and the American public, and Buffett was the only person who fit the bill. Buffett recalls, he was hopeful that he would be credible with all the people that were mad at them. When Buffett arrived in New York, he found a company in panic. At the helm of a disgraced company, he was aware of the stakes. Warren always believed that it takes a lifetime to build a reputation and 5 minutes to lose it. And he was afraid that Salomon could be that 5 minutes for him. On August 18, 1991, Treasury Secretary Nicholas Brady announced that Salomon was out of the bond business. This decision was a potential death blow. Buffett needed to reverse it before the Tokyo markets opened. He had only a few hours to prevent a financial disaster. As the Tokyo markets prepared to open, the fear was that Japanese banks would initiate a run on Salomon by selling stock, liquidating positions, and demanding cash to drain the firm's capital and liquidity. This panic would likely spread to the London market, and by the time New York opened, Salomon would be in more crisis. In this panic-stricken situation, Buffett called his longtime confidant, Charlie Munger, to New York for an emergency meeting. Munger described it as an unforgettable moment, and they feared a national calamity if the government decided to abandon Salomon Brothers. Buffett spent the entire day making phone calls to Washington in order to persuade federal officials to give Salomon another chance.
Probably came through in my voice when I was talking. I was talking to Nick Brady, who was the Secretary of the Treasury, and Jerry Corrigan, who was the head of the Federal Reserve of New York. And these people were undeservedly, understandably, furious with what Salomon had done. And there were a lot of people that wanted us to go out of business over that weekend, and I didn't know what was going to happen.
At the 11th hour, a final call with Nicholas Brady provided a breath of relief. The emotional weight in Buffett's voice conveyed his concern to lead Brady to reconsider and back off slightly. Buffett faced dozens of reporters at Salomon's auditorium. He implemented significant management changes and promised to work with the Treasury to uncover past misconduct and prevent future problems. As a result, Warren Buffett emerged as a hero, praised for his integrity and efforts to reform Salomon Brothers. By 1993, Berkshire Hathaway stock rose up to $17,000 per share. No wonder Warren Buffett became a force to be reckoned with. So now, why don't we hear from the man himself, casually giving a Berkshire Hathaway office tour to CNN Money?
Well, I've been in this building 50 years. They've moved me around a little bit.
History on the walls of legendary investor Warren Buffett's office.
I formed my first partnership in May of 1956, so this was the year-end balance sheet, which I typed myself. In fact, you'll probably find a few typos in it. And these are the partners I had at the time, and this was my father-in-law. That was my roommate in college. That was his mother. That's my Aunt Alice. That's my sister Doris, and that's her husband Truman, and that was the gang. Yeah, if they kept a $10,000 investment, and then when I liquidated the partnership, reinvested that in Berkshire Hathaway, they would now have about 500 million. I did very well with small amounts of money back in 1964, and when a panic happens with a really good company, I like to buy.
Buffett's MO for investing. This 1901 New York Times article reminds him daily of an important lesson.
We never get out on a limb run. We always have lots of money. We never borrow a lot of money.
Mind it, he has been in this same building for 50 years. Leaving his global fame aside, let's get to know some of his personal details now. His daughter Susie Buffett revealed his diet and what a big sweet tooth he is. You will see him cheerfully holding popsicles and candies pretty often in events. Just take a look at how obsessed he is for candies with his longtime friend Bill Gates. In Susie's words, Warren's vegetable list includes corn on the cob, French fries and hash browns. His idea of fruit includes banana cream pie and strawberry shortcake. He also drinks several cherry cokes a day. I've never seen him drink water, ever. His friend Stan Lipsey pointed out that even when traveling to China, Buffett bought a stack of McDonald's coupons and ate hamburgers throughout his stay. In the 1990s and 2000s, Berkshire Hathaway expanded further. Buffett acquired several companies, including the nation's largest furniture store, a leading mobile home manufacturer, Fruit of the Loom underwear, Benjamin Moore Paints, Dairy Queen, Geco Insurance, and over 70 others. All of this combined a workforce of over 250,000 employees. Glenn Tung said again, Berkshire's collection of businesses is handpicked by Warren Buffett, and two of Buffett's investments are way away from the conventional market wisdom. He bought his hometown newspaper, the Omaha World Herald, and invested in the Burlington Northern Railroad. Also, Alice Schroeder observed when Buffett invested in railroads, they were recognized in a new light with forgotten values. This indicates he always sees the value in things others mostly miss out. In Omaha, Berkshire Hathaway's annual meeting is a perfect spot for thousands of shareholders. In 2024, Buffett kicked off Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting like usual. Here's a sneak peek from CNBC television.
Yeah, don't wear out all your clapping on Charlie. I mean, we got there are two people I would like to thank, and then we'll get on to the brief description of the results of the first quarter. First of all, I'd like to thank Melissa Shapiro, who put this whole event together. You can't imagine the work that goes into it. But she just reported to me that we set a new record for See's candy. I think they brought along 6 tons, and they will sell out. And one thing I do want to mention, we have only one book at the bookstore, the Bookworm, this year. Normally we have about 25, but we have Poor Charlie's Almanac, 4th edition, and I think we sold about 2,400 of them yesterday.
It's great to see when the stadium gets filled, and the spotlights are on a small folding table with two 80-year-olds at that table. Don't think these folks are out of energy, and you'll keep wondering how those two 80-year-olds have more stamina than anyone else in the room. Shareholders eagerly await Warren Buffett's insights. The meeting is his favorite event, which keeps him energized from Friday to Sunday night. By the 2000s, Buffett was worth tens of billions of dollars. But here's the twist. He intended to donate to a foundation run by his wife, Susan. Sadly, in 2004, she died of a stroke following cancer surgery. On this, Susie Buffett expressed her grief with raw emotions. It was a huge shock for their whole family. Warren loved and relied on Susan beyond words, and he could never totally overcome the emptiness. 2 years after Susie's death, Buffett married Astrid Menks in a private ceremony. However, he announced he would pledge most of his fortune to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. As mentioned before, Bill Gates has been one of Buffett's closest friends since the early 1990s. On this, Bill Gates said,
Kind of phenomenal. It made us step up our ambition level, add a lot of things we wouldn't have been able to do. And so now every year, it's a gigantic gift that allows us to be double what we would have been without it.
Buffett gladly explained.
They're young, they're energetic,
They work much harder at it than I would. I get to keep doing what I love doing, and they're going to achieve the same things much better than I would. It's a perfect solution for me to get somebody else to do the work. I've always been good at that.
As Warren Buffett's 80th birthday approached, an international crisis opened a new chapter in his life. In 2007, Berkshire Hathaway stock hit an all-time high of $150,000 per share. The following year, the entire US economy went into crisis. The Dow plummeted over 500 points, and financial institutions crumbled under massive debts. In New York, panicked bankers desperately sought emergency assistance from anyone who was still financially stable. They needed more than just money. They needed a boost of confidence. Therefore, Warren Buffett stepped in as a key figure. He provided crucial support to companies like Goldman Sachs, GE, and later Bank of America. People often say that if Warren Buffett invests in a market, it's likely to get better. In 2011, Warren Buffett was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. President Barack Obama said,
"He's demonstrated that integrity isn't just a good trait, it is good for business."
When Buffett sat down with Yahoo Finance editor-in-chief Andy Serwer, he defined true success in his own distinctive style.
Well, I've said many times that if you get to be 65 or 70 and later, and the people that you want to have love you actually do love you, you're a success. I've never seen anybody that reaches that age. I mean, I'm not talking about somebody that's in extreme poverty or pain or something, but I've never seen anybody that, if they have a lot of people that love them, that is other than happy. And I've seen some very, very wealthy people that they give testimonial dinners to and name schools after and everything. And nobody loves them, Their own kids would say, he's in the attic, They never came.
What are, say, 3 pieces of advice you would give to people who are looking to succeed in business?
Well, by far the best investment you can make is in yourself. I mean, for example, communication skills. I tell the students that come that they're going to graduate schools and business, and they're learning all these complicated formulas and all that. If they just learn to communicate better, and both in writing and in person, they increase their value at least 50%. And, I mean, if you can't communicate, somebody says, it's like winking at a girl in the dark. Nothing happens, basically. And you have to be able to get forth your ideas. And that's relatively easy. I did it myself.
And when asked to give some real-life advices, he emphasized on associating with the right ones.
Well, life advice is, the most important thing, aside from the things I've talked about already, is really who you associate with. You want to associate with people that are better than you are. I mean, basically, you'll go in the direction of the people that you associate with, and you want to have the right heroes. You want people, if you want to emulate somebody, you better pick very carefully who you want to emulate. And when, obviously, you can't pick your parents. They're going to have an enormous influence on you, but you don't get a choice on that. But you get choices as you go down the line, and who you admire, who you want to copy, and the most important for most people in terms of that decision is their spouse. It's also important in terms of a partner in business, but the partner in life is the most important one. You want to pick a spouse that's better than you are.
A common question arises as this legend keeps getting older. Who gets to be the successor of his Berkshire Hathaway? In 2012, Buffett announced he was being treated for prostate cancer and had identified his successor at Berkshire. But the name was not disclosed for the sake of privacy. Alongside his business dealings, Buffett has become more vocal about political and economic issues he is passionate about. One of his primary concerns is the inequity of the tax system, and it was encapsulated in the so-called Buffett rule. He said, "There are all kinds of wealthy people who pay normal taxes, but there's a small segment, including himself, who pay very low taxes." To put things into perspective, Buffett acknowledges that his influence and success come from being lucky enough to be born in America. He's uniquely bridged the gap between Wall Street and Main Street in a way that might never be replicated. Bill Gates praised his friend once again, like he always does.
We should sit back and benefit from the deep thinking he's done about business since he was very young.
Buffett concluded.
I just have a great time every day. I mean, I am getting to do exactly what I want to do in life. You know, it doesn't get any better than that.
Truth be told, there will never be another Warren Buffett in the history of mankind.